Tzu Chi volunteers in Mozambique help residents affected by the cyclone. Master Zheng Yan encourages Tzu Chi teams in central Taiwan in their work with inmates and long-term care recipients. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Elise Ann DeVito. Thank you for joining us. A cyclone swept through Mozambique recently, affecting many local residents. Tzu Chi is distributing food at the shelter and is also making plans to help these residents return to their normal lives.
In the shelter, the disaster-affected residents have formed a long line to collect hot food. For every meal, there's only 100 kilograms of rice to feed 700 people, which is definitely not enough.
We have not eaten anything since yesterday. We waited for one whole day. When it's finally our turn to collect the food, there's no more left. I'm very hungry and my children also kept on crying.
There's not enough food at all. 7 of us need to share this plate of rice. All the adults and kids are still very hungry.
For those who want to head back their home and rebuild their lives once again, the road ahead is long and harsh. Many areas are still submerged in water. Even after the water receded, the straw and mud brick houses are all very fragile. Louis was also unable to find his textbooks.
My name is Louis, and I don't have a father as I stay with my mother. After the cyclone, I am unable to head to school and study.
For some families, what's left of their house is only just a wall, and a daughter was trapped right underneath the debris.
Our house is very unsafe. It will collapse any time and we might lose our lives.
A house without roof. How can one call this home?
The strong winds have blown the roof away, and so the house was flooded.
Seeing the difficulties of the affected residents, Tzu Chi is preparing to distribute hot food at the shelter, while also planning mid to long-term plans to help these residents return to their normal lives.
Pahang, Malaysia was severely hit by flooding recently. In Raub County, the worst impacted area, Tzu Chi volunteers and local residents joined together to clean up the homes. Here's the news.
Raub is in the rainy season. In order to prevent the blankets from getting wet, volunteers are fully prepared before they are sent to the distribution site.
We have 6 groups, about 25 volunteers in total. Although today is a working day, it is not difficult to mobilize volunteers. Everyone is willing to help out, so they have made prior arrangements for this special event.
Broken furniture is everywhere along the way. Although the flood has subsided for 2 weeks, villagers still have lingering fears.
In the first flood, we lost $21,000. In the second time, we lost more than $2,600. Because we don't dare to buy furniture anymore, you can see my house is empty. If the third flood comes, it will be even worse.
In addition to distributing relief aids in Gongliao, Tzu Chi volunteers also assisted in cleaning the houses and giving out hot food immediately after the disaster.
I'm very grateful to Tzu Chi for helping me with cleaning. Otherwise, only by my husband and kid, it's very hard to clean such a big house, especially for the mud. It is hardly washed away if you don't clear it immediately.
Because the photos are immersed in water, so I just pick up those that can be kept. Although it's heartbreaking, there's no other way. Just keep those without being soaked.
What I worry the most is that my homework is soaked with water. If it is, I can't do it.
Volunteers take the advantage of good weather to send relief aids to each household.
At least we can buy some furniture and electrical appliances.
Volunteers walking into the village is not only to provide assistance, but also inspire kindness. After receiving a bamboo corn bag, Ye Rui-yin fills it up with corns and returns it to the volunteers.
The impoverished are very pitiful. I'm still doing well. I can help others to repay.
This time, volunteers have distributed relief aids to 53 households, hoping to reduce the burden of the villagers.
In Taiwan, due to the pandemic, the annual winter gathering has been canceled. Volunteers in Kaohsiung prepared gifts and gave them to the care recipients in person, sending much warmth during the cold winter.
Due to the pandemic, the annual winter gathering was cancelled. As volunteers are double-checking the list of care recipients, they are preparing to send the supplies to the homes of the care recipients.
We have replaced the aid supplies with this cash voucher. Besides cigarettes and alcohol, they can purchase any other supplies they need with the cash voucher.
Besides the cash voucher, there are also 8 other supplies packed inside the gifts of blessings. While sending out warmest blessings, volunteers also incorporated the ideals of environmental protection.
This is a recyclable bag so that they can reuse it.
Seeing the volunteers come over to his house to send love, Mr. Huang, who is the sole caretaker of his 80-year-old mother, burst into tears.
Volunteers are so kind. You are the only people that will come over and visit us.
This care recipient has a disability card due to mental illnesses. Her husband suffered a stroke and is unable to work.
1,000 packages of aid supplies represents 1,000 stories. Volunteers head over each house to deliver them personally, sending much warmth during the cold winter.
City volunteers in Hualien have prepared New Year supplies to visit Chiayi, who lost her father and has to work to support her family. Volunteers gave her lots of encouragement and love.
Volunteers deliver blankets, instant noodles, multigrain powder and other supplies to the care recipients with their New Year wishes. After 1.5 hours of car ride, they have come to Xiaoya's house. Chiayi has been working while caring for her ill father and elderly grandmother. Her father has passed away last November, and she has been repressing her emotions. When she sees the volunteers, she could not hold back her emotions anymore.
We came in contact with them last year, then we discovered that she's a former care recipient. We feel that this little girl has grown up. She's a young woman now and has her own thoughts.
Volunteers continue to visit other care recipients to care about their health and wish them a happy Lunar New Year.
As the Lunar New Year approaches, city volunteers in Zhanjiang City, Guangdong Province have delivered winter supplies to 336 families in need. Let's take a look.
Volunteers deliver winter supplies and New Year gifts.
There are more than 10 co-management personnel who did not know Tzu Chi. Later, they dedicated themselves, helping the residents carry rice and other supplies. They even compete on who carried the most rice. They look upbeat and joyful.
Volunteers deliver love in the winter to 236 low-income or disadvantaged families. City volunteers also deliver the supplies to the homes of those with the mobility issues.
祝福你福气满满，开心的笑容。
Master Zheng Yan stopped in Taichung to have a warm discussion with volunteers in central Taiwan. Seeing the volunteers care for the inmates at the detention center of the National Immigration Agency, the master hoped everyone will continue to work hard to benefit the world.
Tzu Chi volunteers walk into Lantou Detention Center of the National Immigration Agency to care for the physical and mental health of inmates.
Team members will go there to provide free clinic once a month. When there was no pandemic, we would go there to spread loving care, host a Buddha Day ceremony, and provide free haircut.
The love from Tzu Chi volunteers make the inmates no longer feel lonely. They can bring this touch when they go back to their hometown.
When they return to their hometown, they can contribute their part to cultivate blessings and spread love continuously.
Volunteers not only care for the immigrants, they also take care of the local elders. Mrs. Lin had a stroke before and was bedridden. Her home was messy. Staff from the Taichung Tzu Chi Long-Term Care Center and Tzu Chi volunteers help clean up the environment.
We'll go to the recycling station to find some useful things and then bring them to our care recipients' homes. We'll do simple cleaning so that the second-hand assistive devices can continue to extend their lifespan.
Tzu Chi's long-term care service provides warm care and practical help to those in need, creating countless touching stories. The fruitful service results in many awards.
那就是让我呢是最大最大的安慰了。人家对我们的肯定，我们呢要很珍惜自己生命的价值。人已经给咱肯定啊，咱就知影讲哦，我们这一生所做的是对，方向呢没有偏差。
The master encourages everyone to be grateful for being able to give and to serve others. If it is the right path, everyone should continue on it.
Due to the outbreak of the epidemic, Tzu Chi volunteers overcame difficulties to plan for the year-end blessing in Singapore so that everyone could return to the Jingse Hall for blessing at the end of the year.
观众人数我们已经 cap at 40位。
The Jingse Hall will be separated into 3 areas and the maximum people in each area is 50. The flow of traffic is independently set so as to avoid contact. This is how the Singapore Tzu Chi volunteers are hosting the year-end blessing ceremonies this year.
When the participants are here, we will check the temperature and they must be wearing a mask. We also have a safe entry protocol, which means that they must adhere to the 1 meter of social distance. At the venue, we will disinfect the chairs, hot lamp, wheels and elevator, as well as the bathroom in between each ceremony.
It seems easy, but there are a lot of details to follow. We need to think if each task we are doing is following the government guidelines. We really had many meetings on this and changed the flow of traffic many times.
The theme this year is about the big lesson of not killing animals. We are in a huge disaster right now. We need to wake up and not kill animals anymore.
During this new norm for year-end blessing ceremonies, volunteers each take on multiple tasks so that more people can attend the ceremony.
It has been a while since we have been back to the Jingse Hall, so when the opportunity came, we all jumped on it. We have been connecting online, but it felt like something was missing, so it feels good to connect in person.
Tzu Chi's year-end blessing ceremony continues to spread warmth and love to all sentient beings, as everyone hopes for a new beginning in the Lunar New Year.
In Yunnan, 72-year-old recycling volunteer Chen Huang Yuyan has done recycling for 20 years. However, after recent knee surgery, she had to stop her recycling activity for 3 months. Eventually, she recovered, regaining the joy of protecting the earth.
The clock on the wall points to 4:25 in the morning, and Grandma Yuyan has gotten up already. Putting on warm and protective clothing, Grandma Yuyan set off to work. While the traffic lights on the road are still off, Grandma Yuyan has already turned on the recycling GPS map. Grandma Yu Yan is very familiar with what kinds of recyclables the shops contain in every street and alley. It is getting bright. Grandma Yu Yan moves her leg while she is washing the recycled items. She just had a surgery on her knee joint not long ago.
I stopped doing recycling for 3 months. It's very painful.
Her knee joint has degraded and hence has a surgery. Doing recycling non-stop for 20 years, but it got interrupted. She was very depressed, yet she still forced herself to endure the pain of doing rehabilitation.
Even for the bicycle pedal, I can't step it over. I have to hold my pants to push my feet over.
After the rain, the weather will always be fine. During the 3 months of rehabilitation, the shop that was originally served by Grandma Yu Yan has turned to be active in doing recycling.
Everyone can do it. It is just a small effort.
Even Grandma Yu Yan's husband, who was not so supportive, became her good helper.
Everyone gave us the chance to do recycling. They would bring recyclables here for us. Then I decided to do it continuously.
Finding a turning point from a crisis and driving her passion for environmental protection to the entire community, because of her persistence, Grandma Yu Yan has eventually overcome the pain of rehabilitation and retrieved the joy of recycling.
For more than 10 years, in order to allow Tzu Chi University of Science and Technology students to learn to serve others, Master DaAi has led students to remote villages to care for school children and allowed humanistic education to take root in their minds.
Tzu Chi University of Science and Technology held a camp promoting humanitarian ideals and eco-friendliness in Fenglin, Hualien, leading participants to learn life etiquette and be environmentally friendly.
Even in science, we also need to use mathematics to calculate some things like the angle.
Each activity contains Tzu Chi humanities, teaching children to learn to be successful and mature in life.
If you are angry, you can read Jing's aphorisms to calm down.
Because many children do not have food to eat, I feel bad for them. So I'll donate in my bamboo coin bank to help them every year.
On this stage, senior Tzu Chi volunteers also came to the venue to receive the blessings of the children.
I wish Grandpa and Grandma peace and safety and live to 200 years old.
Young participants bring vitality to the senior Tzu Chi volunteers and hope they will continue this love in the future.
On average, 80% of people in Taiwan take traditional Chinese medicine every year, but not all of the medicine ingredients is subject to GMP control, leading to a big loophole for such traditional Chinese medicine materials.
Our entire Dihua business district has already lost half of its traditional industries. This time, the individual and traditional Chinese medicine doctor incident has led us to lose another 20% of our entire business.
Official tests revealed that some in the test sample are very substandard, but the people want more than this. They want peace of mind.
More than 80% of Taiwanese people take Chinese herbal medicines each year. But how do Chinese herbal medicines be kept fresh? We actually came to a TCM clinic today and asked Dr. Shi to tell us how a traditional Chinese medicine should be kept fresh.
Each kind of medicinal has its special characteristics. We will prepare it for future use and distribution. This is the traditional medicine cabinet, and we put it in the drawer. If it needs to be refrigerated, we will put it in the refrigerator. It is the first procedure for most of our medicinal materials. Actually, we usually start with well-packaged medicinal materials.
Pharmacists are busy grasping and mixing many ingredients, which is quite common for most TCM prescriptions in the market. However, since consumers are usually purchasing items which originally came in bulk, TCM physicians remind the public to carefully make sure whether these ingredients are fresh.
The first one is being complete, and the second is the right aroma, which should have a certain scent like TCM. It cannot have sulfur smell. So you can't just look at bright colors. You must get rid of the idea of appearance.
TCM ingredients such as red dates and wolfberry must be dehydrated and dried before they can be kept fresh, so their appearance must be a bit wrinkled.
Then it will have a natural fruity scent. If it is dry enough, it will actually be crunchy. It is actually edible because it is cleaned, and it will definitely be edible.
According to the statistics of the Ministry of Health and Welfare Department of Traditional Chinese Medicine, Taiwan imports about 28,000 tons of TCM from China, Kazakhstan, Vietnam, and other places each year. Among these countries, China accounts for the largest amount. The 10 most abundant Chinese herbal medicines include red dates, huangqi, cinnamon. Due to the special relationship between the two sides of the strait, Taiwan cannot require the other side to issue the production history of TCM materials, but there will be 3 levels of checks. First, when TCM materials enter customs, the importer must issue results of 21 inspections. After entering customs, they must accept random sampling. In addition, authorities will also conduct random inspections of 350 items for 87 medical channels each year. If unqualified TCM is found, they will be immediately removed from the shelves, destroyed, and the source of the goods will be traced.
In August 2016, it was announced that the first substance, sulfur dioxide, must not exceed 150 ppm. Synthoxin must not exceed 10 ppb. In October 2016, our second wave of concern was for heavy metals. The total amount of heavy metals in TCM cannot exceed 20 ppm.
In order to preserve freshness, TCM materials are often treated with sulfur dioxide. This is actually quite common to give these medical materials a very beautiful appearance. Sulfur fumigation of TCM materials is allowed as long as it within the scope permitted by laws and regulations. Therefore, people must carefully confirm whether sulfur dioxide level exceeds standards when purchasing.
这个颜色呢，跟这个就非常的相近的。
In addition, some have heard that 2 similar medicinal materials are mixed together. The 2 Chinese medicinal materials in front of me, the expensive spina date seed, can help soothe the nerves and can treat insomnia and drowsiness. The other Yunnan Ziziphus jujube can reduce inflammation and relieve the effect of diarrhea. The appearance of the 2 is almost the same.
The spina date seed is about 3 times the price of Yunnan Ziziphus jujube. So when a consumer wants to buy medicinal materials from him, he only needs to make a bid. He will use this ratio to see how much it needs to adjust it to you. So you really are getting what you pay for.
In order to eliminate the problem of mixing medicinal materials, the pharmaceutical factory simply seeks contracts with farmers from China. Starting from ensuring the variety, including soil, fertilizer, and processing procedures, they are strictly controlled by Taiwan standards.
The part of the contract will, of course, have our so-called planting regulations, which includes what can be done and which can't. We list our specifications, which includes pesticides you can't use, because this does not comply with our current regulations in Taiwan. For example, we can only use the most natural fertilizer, which is animal-based.
We get to the source and planting the whole plant. I will only buy it together and not mix it up. This means that I can make sure that it hasn't been mixed, so source management is very important.
The heavy responsibility of source management now falls on Taiwan's major pharmaceutical companies that import TCM materials from China. However, the public still must have the basic knowledge about purchasing in order to let such herbal medicines have the best health effect.
Care recipients in Kedah, Malaysia, used to visit the Jingso Hall for a get-together every Chinese New Year. With the movement control order, volunteers visited the recipient's home, bringing gifts and care. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.